Chair recognizes the gentleman who back. Chair recognizes the gentlelady from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield Ms. Scanlon a bit of time, and then I'll get to my questions.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify for our witnesses, and of course Mr. Gates knows better, that I was not referring to the witnesses whose pain is very real, and we really appreciate their testimony here and their efforts to try to make the city a better place. I was referring to the actions of our colleagues as being circus-like and of trading on the pain of other people. So thank you, Ms. Dean. I yield back to you.
Thank you. It seems to me that we have two hearings going on here. And what you have suffered, the folks in this room, the O'Connor family, the Fitzgerald family, there is nothing we can say that will heal your pain, and we know that. But I hope you know that as serious legislators, as somebody who has wanted to do something about gun violence when I was a professor at LaSalle University, when I was a young mother to 3 children, taking my kids to the Million Mom March 24 years ago. Some of us are very serious and intentional about wanting to do something, and so you might see some frustration in us. This very committee held a hearing to defund the ATF. Is that the right direction for this country to go, to defund an important law enforcement agency that helps trace back where these criminals are getting the guns? That's why it's a little frustrating here. So again, your losses, we feel very, very deeply. I can't imagine. As a professor at LaSalle University, as I said, I wasn't elected to anything. I had an adult woman in my night class who talked a lot. We'd meet in conference about her writing. We talked a lot about her precious 15-year-old sons, twins. And then the next semester, I read in the newspaper of one of the 16-year-olds being shot and killed based on a gripe, some gripe among 16-year-olds with guns. Let's get serious about how do we get these guns out of people's hands. As federal legislators, what can we do to make a difference, to get illegal guns off the street, to get guns out of the hands of folks who are prohibited purchasers because they're unsafe, they're unwell? Let's get serious about that. So, Dr. Abaya, I want to start with you. You have recited what we know to be an extraordinarily shameful American statistic. Children in this country are more likely to die of gun violence than any other cause. I don't know another nation that wears that badge of shame. That's the United States. That's not just Philadelphia, folks. That's the United States. You're in the trenches. You're dealing with families who are dealing with these incredible losses. What are the most effective things we can do? And you have cited the statistics. In Philadelphia, unlike what some of my colleagues said, crime down 38.28%, homicide, rape down 22%. But let's just stick with the gun violence. What are the effective things going on in this city, regardless of the Krasner argument that's going on? What's going on that's effective and is bringing down this rate?
Thank you so much for that question. So a public health approach to addressing this issue really consists of identifying modifiable risk factors in community. This is something that's worked with a myriad of diseases that have had successful public health interventions over the years. What are the modifiable risk factors that can be intervened upon within community? These start with the individual, but also involve the entire community, even the built environment. And right here in Philadelphia, some of the most seminal studies have been done that demonstrate the impact of these strategies. So I mentioned CVI. These are strategies that identify people who are at highest risk of near-term violence with an aggressive case management plan. These people are engaged by someone that they trust, someone who can pull them from the cycle of violence for a period of a minimum of months. This is not a short-term engagement. It's not a Band-Aid. It's a way to significantly alter a person's life course forever. What we really want for community safety is for people to not enter into violent situations and then be withdrawn and then enter and withdrawn. We've seen that in our homicide review cases when I was at the health department. We saw those cycles of continued exposure, repeat injury over and over again. Interventions that intervene when we recognize those modifiable risk factors and transform them, address them sustainably by providing, for example, employment where someone has an actual place to go day to day. Cognitive behavioral therapy and other types of mental health interventions, those strategies are known to be effective. There are other things that have been studied in the city of Philadelphia, such as changes to the built environment, as I mentioned, greening, which had a measurable impact on reducing violence in the areas that were transformed. This is community transformation that has impacts actually beyond gun violence. So I think that the thread of hope here is that there are interventions that are proven. There's promising research being conducted every day, and there's a lot to invest in that could really change lives.
Thank you for your work on this. What is a public health crisis? We have another public health crisis going on, which is addiction. And so I invite the chairman to please come, take a look at what is going on in Kensington, if you want to be serious about doing anything around addiction and mental health. And I'll end with Mr. Garber. That's a public health approach. What have you been doing at the state level that's been successful with the Democratic House that we should take to the federal level?
I think we've found ways to find common ground. Right now, we're really focused on firearm trafficking, especially. I was talking to a detective in Montgomery County yesterday about how lapses and slowness in the electronic records of sale system, which is our state public background check system, is impacting their ability to identify traffickers before someone loses their life. And so we're working with Republicans and Democrats on legislation to address that. And already in the last year, we've had 3 bills, the Extremist Protection Order bill, ghost gun ban, and a universal background check bill. And the background check bill is really important for Congress to look at because in Pennsylvania, while we have an extremely strong state-based background check law, that we see guns travel up from my home state of Georgia, from the south, up the iron pipeline, right into Philadelphia and cause this violence.
I thank you, and I thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll yield back. Oh, excuse me. I do have a unanimous request.
Recognize.
Consent. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record the Philadelphia Police Department Major Crimes Report citywide 2024 because I really want to correct the record. Mr. Gates had statistics from some other era. So I ask unanimous consent to put this in to show that homicide is down 38.28%.
Without objection, gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Virginia.
Mr. Chairman, can I recognize for unanimous consent?
Sure.
First? Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the 2023 Pew report that indicated that major crimes were to a 20-year high, which combines violent crime and property crime.
Without objection. Gentleman from Virginia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, if we're doing unanimous consent, I have a couple as well.
Gentlelady from Pennsylvania is recognized.
There's a January 18th, 2024 article from the Philadelphia Inquirer by the director of the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform entitled, How Philadelphia Reduced Gun Violence in 2023.
Without objection.
Also, an April 30th article from NBC 10 Philadelphia titled, Philly Leaders Encouraged by Drop in Homicides So Far This
Without
Year.
objection.
Also, an April 12th article from Fox 29 Philadelphia titled, Carjacking Significantly Declined in 2 Years, Philadelphia Carjacking Task Force Reports.
Without objection.
And an April 15th article from WHYY titled, Philly DA Sets Up New Unit Focusing on Repeat Gun Offenders.
Without objection.
Also, an April 16th article from Axios titled, Number of Homicides Plummets in Major U.S. Cities, noting that Philadelphia currently is experiencing a 37% decline in murders.
Without objection.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you. I yield back.
This will be my last, Mr. Chairman. I have an additional unanimous consent request.
Gentleman is recognized.
George Soros prosecutors wage war on law and order at heritage.org.
Without objection.
Philadelphia's Soros-funded district attorney deceived court to get murderer off death row from the Washington Examiner.
Without objection.
George Soros' bad bet on progressive DAs from the Philadelphia Citizen.
Without objection. While we're keeping Mr. Klein waiting, you've all been here for a couple hours. If you need a break, just let us know. We can certainly give you a chance for a break.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
I just want to say that with all the anti-Semitism we're seeing the anti-Semitism of using George Soros again. It's disgusting.
A point of privilege. Mr. Ranking Member, not every criticism of George Soros is anti-Semitic. The criticisms deal with public policy and the matters of rising crime with DAs. I don't know anything about Mr. Soros' faith. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Virginia is now recognized.